Welcome to Mental Health Mondays, where we take time to talk about all the different things that support your mental health and wellness. My name is Jenna Kelland. I'm a holistic mental wellness coach and mom of 3 kids with special needs. I'm also the owner of Spark Wellness, and I've been through burnout myself, and so I'm really passionate about helping women find ways to support their mental health and wellness using all the different tools. There isn't just one way to do it. We have a whole toolbox of options. And so I like to invite people to share some of their different tools that they use. So my guest today is Debbie White, who is a professional organizer. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what you do?
So I help people both in their homes and their businesses just bring more order to their life through decluttering and organizing. And by doing that, it helps them feel less overwhelmed, have less stress, and also be more productive.
All right. And what got you into this kind of work?
Well, I spent 30 years in the corporate world, and so I took early retirement in 2016, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something, but I wasn't sure what. So I started kind of, researching different ideas, and I wanted to do something very, very different from what I'd been doing in the corporate world. So, I sat behind a desk and analyzed data for 30 years. So I wanted something a bit different. And I've always loved helping people, and I've always loved organization. And so I, came upon professional organizing, and I looked into it, and I decided, I think this is something that I would really enjoy. So I formed my business in 2016 and became a member of Professional Organizers in Canada and got my trained. I'm a trained professional organizer, and that's how I started. So yeah, it was through the love of organizing and the love of helping people. That's really what it's all about, right?
Oh, it's great that you can bring together two things that you really enjoy to do something that helps other people. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about how what you do, how you work at your work as a professional organizer relates to mental health and wellness?
Well, I think, as you can probably imagine, if anybody who has had a situation where maybe they're not feeling organized, right? Like maybe it is a physical clutter situation where in their home, they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't even think. There's just too much clutter around, right? It really does. Removing physical clutter actually removes clutter from your mind as well, and it helps your whole body relax and your mind relax when your environment is less cluttered and more organized and more ordered. And that's true of you know even on, like, in the office, right? If your desk is full of piles of paper and you've got stuff on the floor and stuff, like, it just doesn't feel good. It feels like you're kind of hemmed in, right? And so to try to get rid of that clutter and organize it just really is a very freeing and freeing experience that really helps you to relieve your stress and your overwhelm.
Yeah, and I manage, I think from my perspective, it also helps with that mental load piece. If you can see things that are disorganized and messy, it's for me, it's always just on the back of my mind. That's one more thing I need to think about and pay attention to. And when things are neat and organized, I don't have that extra thought kind of going in the background of more things I need to be thinking about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
All right. So can you share a strategy or a tool or something that people could use to maybe reduce their clutter and reduce the sense of stress that goes with it, or even how to approach that? Because I think sometimes that can be such an overwhelming project, thinking,
Yes.
my house is cluttered. Like the thought of it just causes stress, figuring out where to start. So what would you
Exactly.
suggest?
Yeah. So I mean, one strategy is to think about what area of the home is causing you the most anxiety, right? Is it the kitchen? Is it the bedroom? Like wherever. So that's one strategy. Now the only caveat to that is the fact that if you start with a really, really tough area, you might find it tough to kind of get going too, right? So but even if no matter where you start, you want to start very small. So say you're going to start in your kitchen. The first thing you just want to start with one drawer. Just start with that one drawer, work on it, get it decluttered and organized, move on to the next drawer. So that's kind of the whole that's the strategy, is just do it one thing at a time. Don't try to think about the whole piece at once. You got to piece, break it up into easy digestible chunks, and break it up so that the amount of time you have fits what the project is that you're going to work on, right? If you're looking at organizing your entire kitchen and you don't have a lot of time, I mean, that might take a couple months actually, right? And so maybe you only have, I don't know, 15-20 minutes at a time to do things, for half an hour. Like whatever the time is, just make sure that you don't bite off more than you can chew, right? In terms of what you're looking at doing. And then the other thing is to make sure you go through a certain process. So let's take that kitchen drawer as an example. The first thing you're gonna do is take everything out of it, completely empty that drawer and have it all up on your counter. And then you're gonna start going through everything, and you're going to decide, is this something that I really need or want? And if it's something that you think you're gonna need and that you use, that's fine, you can keep it, so put it in the keep pile. If not, then is it something that just goes in the garbage? Can you recycle it, or can you donate it? So those are really kind of the four, I guess, main categories, right? And so as you do this, you're sorting. This is the sorting step into what you're going to keep and what you're going to discard or let go of. And then after that, you need to then organize what's left. So the stuff that you're going to keep, then you need to figure out, okay, how am I going to put this back in so that things are more organized? And that might mean for a drawer, it might mean getting some drawer dividers. It might mean you actually need to reorganize your kitchen a bit, right? So if you've got a bunch of different types of things in that drawer, maybe you've decided, okay, that drawer really just needs to be for cooking utensils. Tupperware needs to be in a different drawer, right? So you can make some of those decisions too as you go along. And then the other thing that you'll find is that you may find items that don't belong even in the kitchen. And so if that's the case, then you start making a pile of things that need to be relocated to wherever they belong. So those are the main strategies for tackling basically any organizing project. And like I said, the main thing I would do is just start with something manageable, right? That you can get through. You can see the end result, because seeing that will help you to be more motivated to continue on.
Right. I like breaking that down and doing one piece at a time. That could certainly reduce kind of that sense of overwhelm. But I also think that, I can see perfectionism getting in the way. And that, I don't know, getting stuck in the decisions. Is this something I use or not? Should I keep it or not? How do I organize it so it's the most efficient or the neatest or such? So, what do you offer for suggestions for that, for people who might get stuck in the process?
So don't take too long deciding. So when we're working with clients, often, and I'll give an example of like a bedroom closet, right? We take everything out of the closet and we'll put everything onto the bed or the floor, like wherever. And then one by one, holding up items, right? For the client to decide whether or not they're going to keep it. And that decision is actually usually pretty quick. Like they fairly quickly, most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time it's fairly quick. And if they're really sitting there kind of, oh, I'm not sure, you know what, then keep it for now. And you can always do another, like as you continue to do this, you'll get better at it, right? And because it's a skill. Organizing is a skill that can actually be learned. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So if you find that you are having trouble letting go, that's okay. Keep what what you want to keep for now if you're not sure. And you can go through it again, maybe down the road when you've exercised that, organizing skill a little bit more, and you feel more comfortable with with letting go of things that maybe that don't serve you any longer.
Right. And I imagine as you do it and start to feel calmer, it'll be easier to make some of those decisions too. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling really overwhelmed to start with, it might be harder, but not only will you learn how to do it better, but it will also, as you said, reduce that stress level, reduce the overwhelm, and that might make it easier too.
Yeah. And I have a personal story too about how this can work, right? I'm actually a bit of a pack rat, and so I was a pack rat in my early years, right? When I was a kid, right? I would keep all these little mementos and things, and I always thought, oh, I just, I had this emotional attachment to so many things, right? And so they were all in my bedroom. And when I turned 18, my parents got me a cedar chest. And so then I decided, well, I'm going to store all that stuff in my cedar chest. And my husband and I have been married for 36 years, and I'd hauled that cedar chest around with us for that entire 36 years. And I hadn't looked in it for a very long time. We've been in our current home for 18 years now. And so it was not last winter, but the winter before, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go through that cedar chest because I know it's full, and I know I need to go through it and see what's in there. Well, I couldn't believe the stuff that I had kept. And honestly, I had no emotional attachment to, I'd say 85% of it when I started going through it, so that I was able to really let go of most of that, the items in that cedar chest. If I had tried that 25 years ago, I think it would have been a very different outcome. So I know how far I've come with practicing letting go, and it comes easier and easier to the point where now I'm always on the lookout for stuff that I don't really need anymore, right? I keep a donation bin in the laundry room. Things go in there constantly. When it's full, I bring it to my favorite donation place. So it really is something, like you said, that you realize how good it makes you feel, and that as you continue to do it, it's this self it's this self-motivating thing that happens, and you're able to really, yeah, just start letting go of things a lot more easily.
Yeah, I'd be curious to check. This is just my ideas of checking into what that does like to your neurotransmitters and such. Are you getting like a reward stimulation when you do that or something? That'll be interesting to check
It would be
into.
interesting to find out, because honestly, I think there's something like that going on in your
Mhm.
brain, right? I
Some kind
really
of a reward, whether it's accomplishing something or letting go or making space or something. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Interesting. All right. So you had a resource or a gift you were going to share with people today who want to learn more about this. So can you tell us about that?
Yes, so if you go onto my website, which is orderlyoutcomes.ca, right on my homepage, I have a little button that says download 24 organizing tips. And so if you just click that, then you can go in, you enter your email address, and then it will send you a download of a PDF of 34 organizing tips. The other thing I offer is an hour free consultation. So if you again go onto my website and go into where you can contact me, and then you can either send me an email like through a form that you fill out, or I do have my calendar on there. You can actually book time with me directly, and we can meet virtually and have a talk.
All right. So you do that virtually too, then. How does that work?
Yes, yes. So we can do it virtually, or we can do in person. I do in person consultations as well. So I live in the Cochrane area in Alberta. So as long as it's somewhere close to me, even in Calgary, that's fine too. I do my first hour consultation is free.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Debbie. That sounds great and a great resource to have, because I think that, it's the thing I at least have started organizing. I get excited and I go and then I get stuck. So I think probably having some strategies to remind me what to do next would be really helpful.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. There's lots of tips in there to draw from. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, one of the things I like to do is I like to read. So I'm always asking my guests for what's your favorite book about health and wellness or your topic, your passion here? What would you suggest to people to read?
So one of my favorites is Organizing from the Inside Out by Julie Morgenstern. And she's a very well-known professional organizer. And her book is, just really good. It goes through it goes through all the different areas that you might want to organize, whether it be the kitchen, your office, home office, that kind of thing. But it also talks about when she says organizing from the inside out, again, it's talking about more about that, how you're feeling, about this emotionally or mentally, as well as the act of actually decluttering and organizing. So that's why I really like her book, because it covers kind of both bases, right?
Yeah, that sounds like a good connection between the physical and your emotional state and your mental health as part of that for sure. So that sounds great. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you for sharing your information with us today, Debbie. This has been interesting, and it might motivate me to take some more time to to do some organizing and to get some things in place, because I think you're right. It does help us feel calmer and more relaxed when things are organized and neat and put away around us. So that's great to hear. Thank
Definitely.
you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so I'm going to invite people to join us again next week for Mental Health Monday, where we'll be talking with other guests and experts about all the different things that support our mental health and wellness. It's not just one thing that will help us feel healthy all around, it's a number of tools and a number of strategies. So exposing ourselves and learning more about this will really help us all in our journey to better mental health and wellness. Thank you. Take care and be well.
Bye.